never seen myself as just one thing, and I made sure no one else could either. By staying true to myself, making my own path, rising above expectations, and opening the door for others to be their true selves. The first spirit, made with VSOP Cognac, finished in bourbon casks. Martell Blue Swift, soar beyond the expected.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am Illuminati, and this is the Crypto and Cognac podcast show, as always, coming to you from the studio, season 3, episode 5. Don't quote me on that. I'm losing track. But very, very excited for today's conversation. As always, fueled by my friends at Martell VS, Massy Connoisseur in Trinidad. And I'm going to be having a drink of the VS. You guys know that Martell is the oldest of the great cognac houses out of Cognac, France. And I'm very excited for them to be my partner, as we are the oldest crypto team podcast in the Caribbean. Humble brag. Too much ice, not enough cognac. But yes, today we have one of our favorite people to have on the podcast, Mr. Stephen Hadeed Jr., co-founder, CEO of CreatorLabs, and he's going to share some exciting things, some more things about what he's been doing. So before I keep going on, Steve-O, what's up? Welcome back.
Thanks for having me on, Al. It's always a pleasure to be here. You said it in the intro, the oldest Caribbean crypto educational platform, Crypto Caribbean, and we're definitely very happy to be here and to support each other.
Thank you. So Stephen, I mean, I feel like everybody knows your story, how you got here, but you know, the more we talk, the more we get to dig into some of the details. And for those who are seeing the backdrop that we're using today, we're going to be talking a little bit about One Caribbean Plaza in Decentraland, about the Caribbean Metaverse Art Week 2022, the inaugural year, first of many to come. But before we do so, give me a little feedback, because I know you have been an early adopter of Decentraland. And we've seen so many metaverse worlds come after the fact, but what continues to give you the confidence in Decentraland?
Well, I mean, I first got involved with Decentraland, I guess, I was first brought to my attention in 2017, actually. They were doing their land sale, their first land sale, and I didn't participate then. But right. I got all the information. I read all the information. The world wasn't out yet. The metaverse world wasn't out yet, and we were just kind of, you know, getting ideas about different businesses within the blockchain space to kind of get involved with. And then fast forward to 2 years from then, at the end of 2019, I was hearing more about Decentraland, the land sale. Multiple land sales of successful land sales have taken place. Mana is a tradable cryptocurrency. Which is the underlying protocol to Decentraland, and kind of sets up most of their payment and transaction structures is through Mana and Ethereum. And I knew that towards the end of 2019, I heard that they were getting ready to launch, you know, in the early part of 2020. That date ended up being February 2nd, 2020. I remember it well. And we, or February 20th, 2020. And so that kind of, the Decentraland opening and doing a public launch, and I got involved on that day. I waited for them to open, and I went in that day, and they had puzzles and things for people to kind of interact with the platform, and different builds that have been built by, you know, the early adopter users and builders. And I loved it. I just thought, you know, this is definitely the beginning of something that they're going to build upon. And Decentraland just ended up being kind of like my first big experience with the open metaverse, which is, owned by its users, decentralized, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think that was a key point that you ended off there with, because we've seen certain brands try to kind of co-opt the idea of the metaverse, but I think it's important for people to understand the difference between these closed metaverse experiences and the open metaverses where people actually own their interactions and their engagements in a very real way.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a place for both types of metaverse worlds. I'm a little more partial to the open, probably a lot more partial to the open metaverse worlds. I like the idea of decentralization. I like the idea of a decentralized platform that people can build upon, and through decentralized create economy with, of course, the wearables and digital fashion, and of course with the buildings themselves, and like you said, the experiences, own your experiences. And you can monetize that in a multitude of ways once you're kind of involved. It's just then it becomes sales from there. All the tech is gone. All the that's the tech is taken care of, so you don't have to think about that. The build, all of those things are kind of taken care of because the platform's there. So from that point, it just becomes a monetization sales strategy, which is as traditional as it gets. There are other metaverse worlds as well. If like Somnium Space, I'm a huge fan. The Sandbox and their kind of experience style metaverse where you build an experience within their platform, and of course more open decentralized platforms like Crypto Voxels, which those four are kind of like my favorites, and then you have things that are coming out now like the other side metaverse from Yuga Labs and York Club. So there's going to be tons more. There's going to be lots of metaverse worlds. I think that what it really comes down to is interoperability of those worlds and just making sure that we can go and come. And that's going to be the fun part of the next few years in the metaverse.
And to be able to carry your digital identity across worlds.
Yeah. We're already like kind of experimenting with a particular product that we're building that has to be interoperable. There's no other way for it to work properly than for it to be interoperable. So once there's a creator economy and once a metaverse platform allows for builders to create, whether it's fashion items, experiences, whatever the case is, we would be building for that, and it needs to be interoperable. So you can take the same item into Decentraland, the same T-shirt into Decentraland, the same build into Decentraland or Somnium Space or Sandbox, and try and make it as interoperable as possible. And of course, that kind of part of that responsibility is on part of the platforms to make sure that it's not so proprietary that it's hard for people to build interoperable products.
So you're basically saying that the pillars of a successful or of success for the metaverse is creating experiences and economies, because ideally you need kind of both to kind of build on top of each other to create that desire for people to keep coming back.
Yeah, I think that, and that's where the kind of the platforms themselves, the metaverse platforms, making it easy to build on top of, or even to build on top of to begin with. I mean, some metaverse worlds might be, they want to build their own thing, but I think we're talking about creator economies and where people can build experiences, own experiences, as well as build items and fashion, digital fashion, and sell those sorts of things. I think that it's going to draw people in better if those experiences were robust enough or were concise enough for people to be able to use them. And a lot of the things that we do today in the physical world, we can do digitally. We've already seen the transformation, everything from meetings to signing up for passport renewals. I mean, it is literally everything that we can talk about, quite a bit of things. People always say, oh, what am I going to do in the metaverse? And I think the better question is, what am I doing on the internet today that I was doing in person yesterday? What am I doing on the internet today that I can do better, more immersively within the metaverse, within a 3D space versus a 2D space? Because that's all the metaverse really is. It's a 3D version of the 2D internet that we've been using for the last 2 decades.
Right.
More than that, but really prolifically for the last two decades.
And I mean, as you talk about the immersiveness of the 3D experience as compared to the 2D experience, I think it helps to bridge that gap between the physical and the digital in a much better way, in a much more engaging way, in a way that I think sometimes through our virtual experiences, we lose some of that human interaction that we as humans crave, you know. So in terms of, you know, even when you're like watching a concert online, it's not the same as, you know, being in the concert. And I've found that being at an event in a metaverse world, for example, like Decentraland, it's so much closer.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange how similar the
It feels.
emotionally
it feels.
is of being there physically, especially if you're there with people that you know.
Well, just wait for the VR client to come out. There's actually a VR client being developed now. The first iteration came out on August 16th, and by an amazing team of Decentraland builders, of coders that like have now kind of focused their sights on Decentraland, and they're building out a VR client that I think is going to really, I think that's going to be like a revolution point in Decentraland, like kind of like one of the points on the overarching arc that people will remember.
Right.
The day that the VR client went live or went public. Yeah. It's in its beta stages now. You can test it. You can go in and request access. You can do it. There's a video of how to set it up, how to download it. So everything is available for people to test in all of its beta stages. And it's for Quest 2. For the Quest 2, it's in the Meta Quest App Store under the developer section. Right. And the VR client is going to take that emotional, immersive experience, the more emotional, immersive experience that we've been experiencing virtually. Yeah. In the 2D environment, and it's now going to change in the metaverse with you walking around on your computer to putting on your goggles and actually being in that virtual environment and turning your head and looking around and seeing the person, your friend next to you, and then turning back this way and looking at the stage or the screen and seeing the movie or the concert or the conference or the class or the
World Cup or the World Cup game
or the World Cup or there's Z Labs, not Z Labs. Well, Z Labs is Trinidadian. There's Z Run, which is the horse racing game. Right, in that's on the blockchain. They have a viewing space and HQ in Decentraland. Just quick shout out to Z Labs on that one. They've been on my mind because we are going to be talking to Mark next week. And so yeah, you know, all these different experiences that we've been experiencing in a 2D internet is going to be completely different in the 3D metaverse and more immersive, and that emotional connection actually exists. I went to a conference in an economic conference by Mala Dukaran in another metaverse VR park, and you know that's a closed metaverse. It's very enterprise. It's very structured and organized for very particular things, and it was a fantastic experience. And you got to look around and walk around, and I think that is an interact and sit and view and take in and learn and connect. And I think that's the point of the metaverse. It's what we've been doing anyway, just even more immersive, which you kind of very well put it, where the emotional connection kind of comes back.
Right. So bringing that all back home, let's talk a little bit about CMA. Let's talk a little bit about One Caribbean Plaza and what you guys have decided to do there, why you guys decided that now was the time. Tell us a little bit more about that project.
Yeah, so we have been, as I said, I've been involved in Decentraland since early on and been playing around since the beginning of 2020. And I've always wanted to create an experience within Decentraland. We were always doing a lot of different things. And the time came last year where we got to acquire a piece of land in Decentraland, a nice size plot where we could build out a nice size plot where we could build out a nice experience. And right. Then the question was, okay, what are we going to build? Because when we bought the plot, we didn't have One Caribbean Plaza in mind. It was really, One Caribbean Plaza came from seeing what Caribbean artists did in the NFT space, My love for the Caribbean and everything Trinidadian and the wider Caribbean. And we decided, there's this big push. Let's put One Caribbean Plaza. Let's build a space that's a kind of a Caribbean cultural hub. Let's call it One Caribbean Plaza. And let's see what we can do. And so we started building it, summertime this year. And it finally came online in September, and it was deployed, and it looked a little different than it does now. And we were very excited, and we refined it, and we built this Caribbean cultural hub. And I also want to say that the initial reason, the primary reason for building this place was to get Caribbean culture and Caribbean content to the world.
Right.
And in building it and having the conversations that we were having, I realized, well, wait a minute, there's actually a secondary effect that happens. Caribbean people who were kind of hearing about NFT and hearing about Metaverse now might have a tangible reason to come and check it out.
Yeah. And
so now we bring people who have never really experienced the Metaverse, and we have the opportunity through our culture and through our arts and ideas and perspectives, and we can now encourage people, Caribbean people, to jump in and kind of discover what's going on. So it ended up being a twofold build, where we're going to be showing Caribbean content to the world, and we're also going to be showing the Caribbean that look what we're doing. Come and check it out for yourself and experience technology's kind of latest reach.
Yeah, I mean, for me, from the first time you mentioned it to me, I was sold. Our perspective about the crypto space is always from a regional standpoint. I think we're so much stronger together than we are as individual nations. But for me, like, what I saw being a huge opportunity with One Caribbean Plaza is that a lot of people from the diaspora who may not necessarily get the opportunity to get home as regularly as they want to, who may not necessarily know where they can go and find their favorite artists or to learn about their homeland, now have a port of call for that type of thing. I was in Connecticut earlier this year, and I was helping my best friend do some work in his yard. So we were going to Home Depot, and one of the cashiers, she's like, "Where you guys from?" "We're from Trinidad." She's like, "Yeah, my dad is from Trinidad. Nice. I've always wanted to visit, but I've just not had the opportunity to get out there." And there are a lot of people like that who are like second generation Caribbean, but have never visited the Caribbean. And depending on where your economic situation has held you, that might be a bit prohibitive. So I'm really excited to see what One Caribbean Plaza and you guys do in terms of really like pushing the Caribbean to the diaspora.
Yeah, that's kind of that's good. You were telling me about people who can't make it home to the Caribbean have a place, and it's just, you learn so much things just talking to people. That's why this place, One Caribbean Plaza, didn't really come from my head. It came from having the conversations with so many people, and that's what kind of spurred the idea. So when you said people from the diaspora can have a kind of a port of call in the metaverse, something that's a little bit more experiential than say a website, that gets the wheels turning. So I automatically have ideas.
I mean, and I want to see a lot more people than just creatives reaching out to One Caribbean Plaza to use it as a venue for different opportunities for you to create experiences for your community. So whether you're a carnival band, whether you're a fete promoter, I think it just makes sense.
Yeah,
it just makes sense. Stephen, I think you got frozen there. All right, guys. So we've seemed to.
Am I back?
He's back.
Okay. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm back. I've actually had multiple people reach out to us from different business types, not just Caribbean creatives, not just kind of arts and culture, but business. where people wanted to kind of use the space as a marketing tool, as kind of like an innovative marketing tool, just kind of show that side of what they're doing in their business. So we actually at the build at One Caribbean Plaza right now in Decentraland, we have a very old Caribbean business that we've been working kind of alongside to just do a little pop-up strictly for informational promotional purposes, to do a little pop-up in there. And they are there now, and people are going to get to go and see it. And I think people are going to be surprised, because when we gave a couple tours to some people to kind of show them the build, and they saw this particular business had a space there, they were like, wait a minute, stop the whole show. We want to know, what is this about? And I just explained, as like, look, this is just innovative marketing. We want to kind of just have this space. It's reserved for Caribbean businesses to come and kind of set up a little shop to say, look, we reached the metaverse.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's so important. You know, people always tell me or ask me, you know, where do I see the metaverse? Where do I see the metaverse? And I say it all the time. There was a point in time where we were very, very afraid of the internet. And we were very, very afraid of websites and social media. Now, you cannot have a business and not have an internet presence, whether that's a social media page, whether it's Instagram, Facebook,
website, something.
I see a lot of corporate entities doing social media very wrong. It's kind of cringy. Some of them who trying to roll into TikTok. But I think just as everyone has a presence now on the internet, everyone is gonna have a presence in the metaverse. So yeah, I mean, it's great that you guys have already like kind of cracked the cement on, you know, that opportunity for businesses. Now let's move a little bit more specifically
The Caribbean Metaverse Art.
CMA Week 2022. Tell us about that. So
when we were thinking about what would be the first event at One Caribbean Plaza, we thought, you know, let's throw an art show. It's you know, kind of low touch for us to do an art show and as the first event. And we said, you know what, let's humble ourselves. Let's do something that is going to be high impact. It's not going to be too strenuous on us coding wise and from the technical standpoint. And you know, we worked with an amazing partner, Hiroto Kai, to kind of learn quite a bit of the technical aspects of Decentraland. He's been a builder there for a long time. And so we worked with him to kind of, you know, refine a lot of these things for the art week itself. And we were supposed to have this art week, I would say, about a month ago. And you will remember, I booked you to do some interviews, I think a month and a half ago, and we ended up having to push it back for various reasons. But in doing so, it ended up aligning perfectly with, and this was completely an accident. It aligned perfectly with Art Basel in Miami, which also starts today, officially, even though they've had events before today. But so when we ended up choosing the date of December 1st, and I said, okay, well, you know what, this is our own fringe Art Basel event. It's in the metaverse, and you know, we're gonna call it Caribbean Metaverse Art Week, and we're gonna push with that. So we ended up putting this together in the last few weeks, even though we did a lot of the work beforehand. Putting this together in the last few weeks, and it's come together. We're really, really excited what we've achieved in pulling these artists together. I think it's 14 artists, over a dozen artists, so 14 artists from, I think, 7 Caribbean islands. And for those that are asking, the flags that we have up currently, the flags are actually on a rotation, because it's something that I want to make sure people understand, because there's a lot more Caribbean countries than just that are represented right now. So the flags are actually on a rotation, and so we plan on rotating the flags. So each flag will have a time at the center, and each flag will have a time not even there. So it's on a rotation thing. So if you don't see a flag, that's because it's in rotation. Okay. So just being clear, guys, no discrimination here. Everybody will be represented in the Caribbean. And I mean, I feel like it's only right that the Caribbean Metaverse Art Week be the first event, especially because the evolution of One Caribbean Plaza kind of came out of those conversations that you were having with these artists. Being a collector yourself, you know, I feel like it's
it's just the right thing to do. You know what I mean? So tell us about some of the artists that you guys gonna be having over the week.
Absolutely. So yes, absolutely. So we have quite a bit of artists from the very well-known Caribbean NFT scene to the kind of, you know, people who are coming up in the scene, people who are now kind of, you know, cracking into the scene. So you know, we have guys like Nicholas Huggins, big fan of his work. We've collected his stuff. We've collected it personally with Stephanie and myself. I've done a lot of stuff with him. You know, Wyatt Gallery, who spent a lot of time in the Caribbean. And I told him, I said, you know, do you want to be in the show? It's, you know, you are as Caribbean as it gets. And he was like, you would love to. So we're happy to have his photography, because I think that he has a very unique perspective coming from the States and you know, being immersed in the Caribbean and Trinidad for literally decades. I think that he, you know, he has a very unique perspective on that. We have Sakani Solomon, who's based in New York and kind of very, you know, well known in the 3D space. We have guys like Javon Ford. We have photographer Kellyanne Bob.
It's okay. You don't have to try to name everybody, because if you forget one person,
it's true. I just have to bust it out the list. But we have, you know, we have a lot of amazing artists. Stephanie Telemark, my fiance, she's going to be, and my better half, she's going to be exhibiting as well. And we're just really excited. This is the beginning. This is certainly not the culmination of anything. It may feel like a culmination to us, like internally and privately, but this is the beginning. We're going to be having so many shows. We want artists, you know, if you see this video, if you come by the build and you weren't involved, reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram. We want to compile more artists for the next show. That's just a natural progression of scheduling events. So we're really excited about kind of Caribbean Metaverse Art Week, making this kind of an unofficial part of Art Basel, or at the same time, I should say, and, you know, just providing opportunities for Caribbean creatives. It's also not just about art, or not just about digital art and painting. It's also about music. We're going to have Caribbean DJ Yida. She's going to be she's provided us a DJ set. We're going to be playing her on the big screen in the auditorium. One of her DJ sets. We have Caribbean films that are going to be played on the screen, you know, throughout the week, and we're going to be posting individual flyers for that. So it's Caribbean Metaverse Art Week. Art being a very broad term.
Yeah.
We want to kind of bring as much as we could in, not just the art that we know is that we kind of think is art initially, but also music, film, and a bunch of other stuff as well. So and fashion, because we also have our wearable giveaway, made in the Caribbean T-shirt, designed by CreatorLabs, and we'll be giving those away. We only have 100 of them, and we'll be giving those away. We'll be announcing the giveaway, and people can come and claim them. So look out for that as well.
Okay, I definitely need to make myself available, because I mean, with 100 only, I could see how that's going to go really, really quickly. I mean, I think this is an amazing initiative. I think only when I started getting involved in the NFT space, meeting with Caribbean artists, being involved in the Caribbean NFT group and stuff like that, is when I really understood the scale of the industry in the region. You know, how many people are not just, you know, people who like to draw or like to paint, you know, people who are, you know, classically and formally trained, who've gone to school for this, who've worked in the biggest fields with the biggest customers in the world. And, you know, oftentimes that is not represented enough, you know. So kids coming up who may have a passion for art don't see pathways to make it a career. And I think initiatives like this are so important to create those avenues. And maybe it's too late for 2022 CMA, but I would love to see some of the, you know, arts and tourism and cultural ministries of governments within the region really jump behind this, the education ministries, and create platforms for the kids to really get involved as well.
Yeah, I mean, I see that honestly as inevitable. You know, the internet, when we were writing letters and people said, you know, do you want to send this message over the internet? People said, nah, I'll just write a letter. but now all of us are sending emails. I can't remember the last time I wrote a letter. In fact, I think the last time I wrote a letter was digitally in an email. So, you know, it's kind of inevitable. You say it, adoption is inevitable. And I see that as kind of like not a forced statement. I mean, that's just something, I think it's just a natural progression. I think that as user experiences and user interfaces continue to develop, you know, I think avenues like the metaverse and kind of side virtual worlds like the metaverse are going to, you know, come, you know, front and center, and people are going to be able to use them to do tons of things, and they're going to. Yeah. I mean, what about the first grocery that truly opens up, the grocery store that truly opens up the metaverse? And now I mean, let's go a little bit further. Put a pair of VR goggles on, and you're walking around a virtual grocery, and you're seeing the same fruits and vegetables that you would have bought. Not a 3D model. I'm talking about the actual fruit stand, except you're doing it from your home, and you can point or pick a particular hand of bananas, and that hand of bananas that you would have picked up physically and put in your basket will get picked up by, you know, automation and put it into a you know, package for you to be delivered to you. It's coming. I mean, this isn't far-fetched. It's not the future. The future is now.
Yeah, I mean, technology is not regressive. You know, technology only keeps pushing forward. I don't think when I was in high school, not to give away my age, but when I was in high school, where cell phones did not exist, or it only existed on television, which was a big brick that people were using in movies, I didn't think that I would see in my lifetime so quickly where we are having this conversation, a video conversation virtually, in under 2 decades. You know, it's kind of insane how quickly that has happened compared to the traditional pace of technology. So technology is just getting faster and faster. So I have no intentions of putting any time limits on how quickly we get to the next stage, because it could be 10 years, it could be 2 years. Somebody might be building it all now. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's coming. I think what we'll experience, or why it'll feel slow, is because what we're experiencing is actually iterations of that development. And you know, when you're in it, you know, they say when you're like, if you stare at a pot of water, it takes really long to boil.
Yeah.
But it's the opposite in tech. So if you're involved with the metaverse and what's going on, things are moving lightning speed. And if you're outside and you're looking in and you're like, oh, why isn't this progressing faster? But it's moving. I mean, this VR client that came out is already, I mean, dare I say, almost releasable, you know, as an MVP, because it's working, and it's only going to get better, and you know, we're here already. So
yeah, I mean, it's super exciting. So Stephen, what are you most looking forward to this evening, tomorrow, and as the week progresses?
Yeah, so we're all going to be there, the whole team, and quite a bit of people are going to be there. You know, this evening, 7 o'clock p.m. AST, and you know, we're going to be at the build. The best thing to do is to click the Decentraland events link, which is going to be on all of our socials, and across all of the WhatsApp groups that I'm in, that's for sure. And the best thing to do to click on that from a browser, because it's not mobile friendly yet. It will be in the future, but it's from a browser, and it'll take you directly to the build, and you can sign in with your MetaMask or with your Web3 wallet, or you can play as a guest and you can come and experience the Metaverse Art Week. What I'm most excited for about this evening is, first of all, having it open and all the work technically kind of be over. Right. But what I'm really, really excited for is for people who have never experienced the metaverse from around the Caribbean, whether it's, you know, Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, Turks and Caicos, Dominican Republic, Antigua, some of the islands that our artists are from. When people who have never experienced the metaverse come across this link and they say, well, it seems easy enough. Let me see what it's about. Click the link, then click play as a guest, and then you're going to come straight to the link, and then you're going to be walking around with your keyboard or your mouse, probably both, and having them with that little spark go off in the head and say, "Oh my gosh, this is real. This is actually happening. We actually have our stuff in the metaverse in a big way." So that's what I'm most excited for, is the people that have never experienced the metaverse to hopefully experience the metaverse.
So you're saying that it's not available from mobile, but only from a browser. So not even from not a cell phone browser either, right?
Yeah, no, not a cell phone browser. It's from a laptop or a desktop.
Right.
I've heard kind of sprinklings of the fact that mobile, a mobile client may come to Decentraland. I'm not sure what that would look like, just because Decentraland is not a very heavy metaverse in terms of needing processing power. My old 7-year-old laptop, I can walk around Decentraland quite easily. More powerful computers are obviously better. But join from a browser. Feel free to reach out if anybody really is not, doesn't really understand what to do, but wants to and really wants to. Please reach out to us on our socials. We'll be more than happy. Check us CreatorLabs X on Twitter and CreatorLabs.x on Instagram, and reach out to us. Or you can always check out our website at creator-labs.io, and get in touch. We'll help out the best we can.
Sounds great. I mean, I'm very excited. I'm going to be jumping off and heading right there to claim my T-shirt, because I have to get one of 100. Keisha, who's never been to Decentraland, she's excited to jump on as well.
You see, then that's you see exactly what I was excited about. Most is I already know is going to happen, because if Keisha's going,
I tell her she have to use her own laptop. I say, listen, you can sit next to me, but you have to use your own laptop.
Yeah. It's for the best experience. And that way she could kind of, experience it almost for herself. She can design her avatar. She can kind of get started on that. And that's a fun process as well. I think people should probably join a little bit earlier so that you can customize your avatar and all of that good stuff.
And once you've done that with your wallet address, it's there. You come back and you don't have to design again a second time or to,
because the avatar, customized avatar saves to the profile saves to your wallet address, so that everything is the same every time.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Is there anything else you want to share with us about the next 10 days? Give us the details.
Come and check us out. We're here in Decentraland. 40-40 is our address. Very happy about that kind of random happening that we got an address.
That's crazy, because essentially you guys are ground zero.
Yeah, 40-40. So we are right there. So we're very, very excited about it, and we have like a nice we have a nice spot on a roadway on a corner. Come check us out. We have lots of art, we have music, we have film, all of those things. Follow our social medias on Twitter and Instagram to get more details and more specifics on when those events will happen over the course of the next 10 days. And of course, reach out if you have any questions. And of course, Al, thank you so much. And I can't leave without saying it. Just keep building.
Just keep building. Because
bull market or bear market, just keep building.
Because adoption is inevitable. Steve-O, thank you very much, buddy.
Cheers, brother. Always great to be on the show. So we'll see you later tonight.
Yes, sir.
Later.
Guys, that was Mr. Steve-O, Stephen Hadeed. And all of a sudden we having some tech trying to hurt us. But yes, I was Mr. Stephen Hadeed. Guys, as always, thank you for being with me. And we look forward to having you next week. I look forward to meeting you guys virtually in Decentraland. Just come up to me, say, yo, Illuminati, I am. And let's touch base. Even if we haven't been able to meet in person, we can always have a good time in Decentraland at One Caribbean Plaza. Guys, Illuminati out. Be blessed.